Yes, guys, happy Monday and welcome to Monday's version of the Emotion Room. And there's a lot to be emotional about that we're going to go through for sure. We've got Brighton's call it match reaction, even though we both did on our own
Yeah.
platforms. We're going to go through that. We're going to go through INEOS on Trial, the title of this video. Do they have our best interests at heart? Does Sir Jim Radcliffe have our best interests at heart? Does Barada have our best interests at heart? Does Wilcox have our best interests at heart? Or are we just being conspiracy theorists, We're also going to touch base on, Manchester United, only 40 games they can complete this season, which is the
Yeah.
least amount of games for 100 years, over 100
Yeah.
years
Crazy.
that we played less than basically 40 games. So, unbelievable. Crisis is a big word, but it does feel like that's what we're in. Of course, I'm with Dan Talks United. His link is in the description. Please subscribe and follow to him. You'll see why as the stream goes along. He's fantastic. He knows so much about United. Dan, how are you, mate? Happy Monday.
Yeah, not too bad. Lots going on again. Not as crazy as last time that we did this, or the first show that we did, where we had the sacking, but loads going on. How are you?
I'm okay, mate. I mean,
Good,
you
good.
are you asked me to predict that game on our last show when we were with Alex, and I was quite negative. I was quite dejected, mate. I'll be honest. Not to just. Well, I mean, we're basically segueing into it now, but Brighton's always been our bogey team, and Amrim did great to beat them 4-2. Right, he did. I'll give him
Yeah.
that. I've got to give it where credit's due. But I kind of knew, we were mediocre and we seem to be heading towards awful again. That's
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
draws now and a loss in the last 4 games. And those teams have been Wolves, Leeds, Burnley, and Brighton. Now,
Yep.
no Premier League team is a bad team anymore, but for goodness sakes, we're back to
Yeah.
awful. We're back to relegation form. I'm back to really being scared of what's next for Manchester United. How do you feel after yesterday's game, mate?
Yeah, just trying to digest it a little bit. I think obviously we've both done our reactions to that game,
Yeah.
and I was seething more with. I mean, we're going to come on to INEOS anyway, so I'm not going to go into that now. But more seething with the board because I didn't see it as something that we could blame Fletcher for, really, because end of the day, Fletcher's under 18s coach at Manchester United. He's not coached adults before, really. I know he's been in that setup in a sense in the past, but he hasn't taken the team as the number one. So I couldn't really blame Fletcher for it. Obviously, I was pissed off with the players as well a little bit because I think they definitely weren't playing to the sort of levels that they should be able to play to. I don't know. Maybe I'm setting that bar too high for them. Maybe.
Sorry to
But yeah,
interrupt before you move on from that point.
yeah,
And
yeah,
this is not me like blowing my trumpet and saying I was right. You know me, I'm open to being wrong, right? But remember,
yeah.
I said on our last show that they're confused.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah,
trying to
yeah.
play this Amarim system for 14 months has left them confused. I don't know how you
Without a doubt.
felt, but I felt
Yeah.
like they were completely confused. They didn't know what they were doing, where they should
Oh,
be.
yeah, yeah. They were lost out there. I think that statement's becoming truer and truer, and I think it's just a shame that we're in this situation again. And like you say, watching that game was so frustrating. I was sat there thinking, what the hell am I watching here? It was just like watching kids trying to play football. It was ridiculous. And I said it in my own stream where it's almost like they didn't train together in the sessions, like they trained individually, or they just did video analysis and that were it, because it's almost like they'd never met each other before. It was crazy. And I sort of mentioned as well how like thick they are. I know it's just a basic thing to say, but like just didn't know where they were on the pitch, like you've just said yourself there. Didn't know when to make a run, didn't know how to make space.
Yeah.
Don't have to track a player when we're defending, don't have to track a man, losing your men. That second goal for Danny Welbeck, it's like he just ran through us like we weren't there. And it's like
what a player, by the way.
On all the time. Yeah, he's a good player. And I said it in my stream that it's too late to have him now, but he's a quality player, and I think he's got better as he's got older, because when he was at Manchester United, I think he had a lot of injuries in his younger days, and then I think he would just you know what it was like under Fergie. We
Yeah,
had
I mean,
so much competition.
do you know what it is? The truth is, the fact that Danny Welbeck would be a good option for us now shows how far we've fallen, right? Because
of course it does. Of course it
he
does.
couldn't get into the team before because it was players like Rooney, Tevez, Berbatov, Van Persie. And that's understandable why Welbeck couldn't get into the team, right? And now we're looking at Welbeck yesterday, creates the first goal and smashes it top bins the second goal. Something that we've paid 4 million for Sesko to do. But, you know, we've just had someone here say, Dan, watch your channel. If you go to Dan Talks United, it's there on the overlay. Please go and subscribe to him now. He's excellent, guys. But thanks for asking. Mate. I mean, that goes to show that how far we were fallen, that we're looking at Danny Welbeck like he'd do a job for us. But I kind of knew we were going to lose yesterday. Of course, part of me wanted to be positive. Of course, part of me wanted to hope that, you know, changing the system would help it. But the truth is, the players are confused. They don't know whether they're coming and going. I said this in my match reaction. I feel sorry for them. I mean, all these years, the 10, 11, 12 years, there's been a lot of talk about player power and the players need to stand up and all of this. And I get that. But put yourself in their shoes. This is their careers. And I know they get paid a lot of money. But they don't know where they're going next. They do not know where they're going next, mate.
And I think as well, though, it's like there's obviously elements of what you're saying that I totally agree with in terms of being confused, because even under Amorim, he's changed tactics to a certain degree, even with him. Never mind changing from him to now Fletcher. But I would have thought Fletcher was probably sort of almost in that sort of go back to basics and sort of work things out for yourselves. And I was saying this as well when I was watching the game. It's like, I don't know if you've played football yourself, but when you were kids playing football and you would need the PE teacher, let's say, or your coach on the sideline, sort of barking instructions like, get back, or play him offside, or whatever it may be. It just feels like they need a coach just shouting instructions at them constantly, telling them where to go, where to make space, when to make a run. And that was another thing, because I didn't get a chance to send it. I saw a video clip going around online where Bruno was basically being the conductor. And he's basically pointing all over the pitch, telling which players where to go. And I just think, why does he need to tell you this? Now, don't get me wrong. There'll be times where you're thinking, right, I just want you to make a run, because Bruno is clever with his through balls. But you'd think that these players that are getting paid so much money, and it's not even about money, but it's about their experience, their age, the ranking that they've come through, that they'd be able to find space and make the right runs at the right time. And so some of this misplaced passing as well in the game. And again, just like knowing what to do, like they have a brain fart when they get into the final third. So it's like Dalot, for example. I'm not saying that he needs to be like this top finisher, but that guy, how the runs he makes, and maybe it's an indictment on the rest of the team, but the fact that he makes such lovely runs into the box and finds space. Now, don't get me wrong, some of that will be the opposition's not expecting it, maybe because he's a right back. But even so, fullbacks these days are technically good and they finish. So you should always have your wits about you when a fullback's running at you, because the fullbacks these days are really good. So Dalot gets into these spaces so often, but then he can't shoot. He can't.
Oh, mate, he
his brain just goes to mush.
He absolutely shit himself. It was early on in the game.
Yeah.
He had a few opportunities.
You can get away with an early chance at the start of the game, because Sesko could miss one. A top striker, Haaland, could miss a chance early on in the game. I get it, but he has about 2 or 3 of them per game.
But this is what I'm
saying. The same result.
And this is not 1 year, 1 season. This is not 2 seasons.
No.
This is not 3 seasons. No. Jose Mourinho signed this man.
Yeah.
You know, he's just not good, mate.
It's like go on.
The viewers know, mate. That I mean, we could spend ages talking about Dalot, and I'm not saying Dalot's the main bloody problem, but mate, he is just not good enough. And it's not just Dalot, though, mate. It's Cunha yesterday.
Oh yeah, Cunha was bad.
Cunha was bad. Shocking yesterday, Cunha.
I keep pleading to get that Wolves Cunha. You know, the Cunha that you've seen play for Wolves. And I know it's a team. I know it's different teams, and I know people always say stuff like, if it's Wolves playing against certain teams, they'll have more space and people don't give them the same respect. I get all that. And I know that things are different at Manchester United. I get all that. But you don't lose your technical ability to do certain things and the basics. And I keep saying, don't forget you're a Brazilian. And I used to say it with Fred. It goes, Fred's a fake Brazilian. But come on, Cunha, you're Brazilian. Don't forget you're Brazilian. And
I
what's
mean,
gone
there
on?
might be a few Brazilians watching here, who knows, right? But being Brazilian doesn't come with that anymore, in my opinion. Richarlison's Brazilian, you know. There's a lot of Brazilians
There's
now.
some bad examples out there.
Yeah, there's some bad it sounds terrible. There's some bad examples now of Brazilians when you say you're Brazilian, because you can also say a few names out there. Another one hasn't come to my mind, but you get what I'm saying.
I know what
But
you're saying.
you talk about the Cunha of Wolves, but someone else showed this to me the other day. I haven't got it here to show the audience, but he struggles to hit the target, does Cunha? He really does. Like, he has a lot of shots, and none of them hit the target.
Do you mean since at Manchester United?
No. Even at Wolves.
Overall,
he would have a lot of shots. And this surprised me, right? Listen, we all watch football, but majority of the time you watch these other teams in highlights on Match of the Day.
Yeah.
And if they show a Cunha chance, it's because he's hit the target. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah, of course.
So you just have that impression of him. Oh, my God, what a great goal. Oh, my God, what a great shot. Great dribble and shot. But then you realize people that watch these players week in, week out, you can't listen. I wish it was for my full-time job to watch every single game, right?
Yeah.
But someone showed me that he has a lot of shots. Again, I should have brought this to show everyone.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
He doesn't hit the target. He does. And since watching Cunha at Man United, he gets into great positions. Although yesterday he wasn't even doing that. That. He's just running like a headless chicken, don't know where to go. And this goes around the confusion element again. He's used to having, remember, under Amorim, he's used to having another number 10 next to him that he can play off.
Just about to say he could be a casualty in the new system potentially.
Yesterday, he didn't know whether he was in the middle of the park, on the left, on the right. He was completely confused. Every time he has a shot, it misses the target. Cunha was shocking yesterday, but of course, it's the confusion. The whole team is confused. The other person I want to talk about, because he's a controversial person, like the fan base is split on this person, and that's Kobbie Mainoo. Yeah. What did you think of Kobbie Mainoo yesterday?
Yeah, because again, I was saying in my stream, I didn't really see much. I didn't see much until he came off the pitch, so I couldn't sort of work out if it was because what he was doing when he was on the pitch, or whether he just went to shit because we made substitutions. But during the game, I felt like very similar to when he came on the game before that, where his touch was off, his control was a bit off at times. He didn't really seem to know where he was really playing himself. He wasn't his normal, even like his because he's got that sort of street football element to him at times, especially when he was playing good under Erik ten Hag, where he could just like beat a man. It'd be really difficult to get the ball off him. And I just thought, even like, again, in this game against Brighton, they were getting the ball off him quite easy. I thought he was quite weak at times. And he was spending a lot of time on the ground as well. And it's like, I wasn't that impressed with his game. And then when he went off, that's where I felt like there was a little bit of a change where we seemed to go into a bit of disarray. So I said on the stream myself, because maybe he was conducting more than I realised. I don't know what you think, David, but
I think
I was a bit mixed on his performance.
I think you're being very generous. I've been saying this on the football terrace. I've been saying this on the football terrace for months, and it's so funny. And believe me, Grace, I'm not saying this because you've just said it. Mainoo is a number 10. That's all he is at best, and I'll explain why. He's great at playing 1-2s with people on the edge of the box. He's great at placing it bottom corner. He's great at small, intricate dribbling. As for conducting a midfield, right? Being athletic, being fast, tackling and getting the ball back.
Yeah.
Mate, he's just not that for the Premier League. He's the perfect La Liga midfielder. I remember
I heard you said that in your stream.
I remember Tom Cleverley once. And for me, Mainoo, and this is going to be controversial, I'm not just saying this for views, Mainoo's the Tom Cleverley 2.0 for me. Tom Cleverley once said, I'd be much more appreciated if I was playing in La Liga, because he likes his sideways passing, keeping the ball. Mate,
I think he's got a bit more to his game than Cleverley.
Yeah, I mean, this is why we have these shows and have different opinions, right?
Of course.
When I watched Kobbie Mainoo yesterday, I realised that I knew it anyway. But it just reiterated it that he's not the man.
Take yourself back to when he was quite key in our cup wins and stuff like that. What did you think of Mainoo then?
He was great playing that.
Yeah.
His best moments, let me ask you, Dan, if
Yeah.
it's funny you bring that up, and
Yeah.
hopefully the viewers can back it too. His
Yeah.
best moments, Mainu, exactly. You just mentioned the FA Cup final against Man City. It was letting the ball run through his legs, playing 1-2 on the edge of the box. The game against Lyon when he scored that goal. These are all good moments on the edge of the box or being involved in the attacking phase. But as for being a midfielder and controlling the game, I just do not think he's the answer.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that he's going to be someone you look to control the game per se. And I can't tell you at the moment what his best position would be. I think you're probably right that he's probably going to be better a bit further forward. I'm trying to cast my mind back when he was playing for England, because he had a good run for England as well. And let's not forget that as well. I know international football's different. I get that. But there's a player in there, and it's your opinion,
right.
and I'm not going to argue with you in that sense, but I can't put him on the level as Cleverly, though. I'm sorry. I've got to say, listen, he's a level above that.
I did say it was controversial.
There was a generational talent in there to a certain degree, and it seems to have disappeared. And it's whether it's going to come back or not, though. That's the question for me.
I mean, I know it's his
people
personality.
can play in flashes.
I know it's his personality. He's also a miserable sod, bless him. But listen, we don't need players to be a chirpy, smiley guy.
Right? No, as long as they perform.
And he's a young fella. You don't know what these guys are going through. And listen, mental health is a big... It's always been a big deal, but it's more prominent now. And we have to be understanding, right?
Yeah.
But he looks miserable half the time. Oh, my God. Listen, he's young, and I'm not here to just completely kill a young player.
No.
But... everyone that thinks Mainu's the answer to our midfield, and Amorim wasn't playing Mainu, Amorim wasn't playing Mainu, I don't think that's the answer. But to finish on the Brighton game, I knew that was going to be the case. And it's so funny, going back to our old system, right? We looked like, you know, that old Ten Hag vibe where teams would just play the ball through us, 3, 4, 5 passes, and they were attacking us.
Saw it again.
You saw it again yesterday. And this is not me, by the way, saying, told you guys you shouldn't have got rid of Amorim. I said this on my match reaction yesterday, and I'm going to say it again, yeah? I was all for it. I was behind Amorim to see how this went. I was backing him to see how this would go and what he would materialise, right? He threw his job away himself, right? Yeah. He shouldn't have piped up the way he piped up, and that wasn't the first occasion. He had done it on numerous occasions. If he had just held it together, like us fans have held it together and been patient with him and his 33% win rate, you know, he could still be in the job. We could still be heading in the right direction. Maybe results would have improved, and maybe the board would have backed him a little bit more. So I'm really upset with Amorim. He's taken the first flight back to Portugal. He's having a nice beer sausage on the beach now, you know, and we're here stuck with this mess. He's 10 million richer. So I'm gutted with Amorim. But to finalise on the Brighton,
a sneaky little question though. Do you think? Because I think I might have mentioned it before anyway, but. Do you think we are going to be better defensively now we've gone to the back four, or worse? Well, because I can't sort of answer that question to a certain extent. But what I do know is we've conceded 4 goals already.
Yeah, I mean, mate, we looked wide open again yesterday, like the old school Ten Hag wide open, where, like I just said earlier, literally a few seconds ago, 5 passes. I was watching it with my dad, and I was like, "Look at this, Dad! 5 passes, and they're on the attack against us again."
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, Dan, we were conceding goals left, right, and centre.
We were, and obviously it's really small sample size to compare. I just wanted to throw something in there as a bit of a take there, but it does. It's interesting that I know he didn't start Casemiro against Brighton, but it's interesting that he seems to have regressed a little bit in the sense of in no man's land a lot of the time, and the spaces are seeming to open up again. And again, sometimes with formations and systems, you get bogged down on it's 3-4-3, blah blah blah. But a lot of it is to do with structure and setup and where people are on the pitch at any one time, and zones and spaces. And I think potentially, again, this is not an advocation for Amorim to come back or anything. I do agree that he should go, but you just think. Has it changed in terms of defensively? But who knows? Because I always said in my streams, we could never keep a clean sheet, and that was so frustrating.
Exactly. Honestly,
we probably get 2 or 3 at most.
I think we have to put it down to confusion. The players have been confused, and let's have it right, Amorim fans. And again, I was Amorim out for a long time, but the last few months I've been Amorim in. more.
Yep.
Let's give Amrim the time he's earned. He's earned a little bit of time with some better results. I could see things slightly improving. So I wasn't Amrim out. But for those of you that are passionately Amrim in, we were still conceding goals, you know?
Yep.
And he had one game a week majority of the time. Of course, the Christmas period is busy, but one game a week to get this system through to those players. And they've
Yep.
been confused for 14 months with this system. Now we
yeah.
change the system again back to our usual God knows what it was, and we're still confused. I'm going to go through some of these comments because there's been quite a few, and I want to touch base on a few of them. New system shouldn't be a problem. Honestly, play Cunha off the left, Bruno middle, and Bumo right, and Mount can either sub Cunha or any of them, or start ahead of them and change sub anyone off for him. And you know what's funny? Where's Ahmad in this conversation?
I'm just about
Michael?
to say, I'm going to say, Michael, where's Ahmad going to go?
Yeah, where's Ahmad in this conversation?
Yeah.
You know, we start to think Mount's been good in the Amorim style, but Mount was
He's going to be a victim as well.
He was non-existent yesterday. Absolutely non-existent yesterday.
Yeah.
He then goes on to say, I think Mainu needs a run of games. He needs a solid defensive midfielder with him. Mainu is like Pedri in their style. And then obviously someone came in and said this straight away.
No.
Big Sam
Everybody's
comes
got
in,
their
Mount would be-
opinions, but
Yeah,
Pedro.
exactly. Mount would be a bench player for me due to injuries. Listen,
Yeah.
we all know that, but Mount's not been injured as much this year. He's got a
No.
string of games. And under Amorim, he suited Amorim's system because of
He
that
did.
false nine press that Amorim was doing. And to be honest, we look the best under Amorim with Mount as a false nine. We seem to get the ball back quicker, beyond the front foot. I don't see where Mount fits in this. I know Michael said Mount, but he's completely
This is
forgotten
sounding
about
like an
Ahmad there.
Amorim back show, this. Amorim
Yeah,
back.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think Grace means Mainu will replace Bruno when he leaves. Grace, I don't want this to be a Bruno monologue, yeah?
No.
Absolutely no one can replace Bruno. It's going to be a very special talent to replace Bruno. I'm sure you know your football, Grace, but there's been no one in the Premier League that has created as many chances as Bruno since he's arrived.
I've been saying this for a while, that
The
we're
only
going to miss
person
him when he's
close to
gone.
him, the only person close to him, and he was still like 200 chances behind him, was Kevin De Bruyne. And everyone talks about Kevin De Bruyne as a messiah in regards to playmaking. Bruno
And who does De Bruyne think's the best at creating chances? He thinks it's Bruno.
Well, there you go. I didn't even know that. So listen, I hear it. I hear the argument about moving on, and Bruno at the end of that game there. I don't know if you saw it, guys. You know, Sesko's coming to him asking about what he should have done better. Sesko looked like he was asking for advice from Bruno, and I could see Bruno absolutely dejected and kind of thinking. And I said this in my match reaction. I'm done with giving advice. I'm running out. I'm running out of energy, and I do not blame him. I do not blame him.
Yeah.
Mainu needs a destroyer that knows how to hold the ball more like he needs his own Roy Keane. Why can't we get a midfielder like Roy Keane now?
There isn't one.
Yeah. Thing is, we've been saying that Bruno needs that next to him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we tried to get Ugarte. That hasn't worked. Our recruitment's been shocking for a very, very, very long time. And anyone that comes in seems to shit the bed and do bad recruitment once again. I don't know where we go from here. We've got Alex here or Christian. It could be either one of them. Yes, boys. W show. After 15 months of wanting 3-4-3 and Mainu, it seems everyone has forgot how bad the midfield of Mainu, Bruno, plus one of Casemiro Ugarte was under Ten Hag. Yeah. It's easy to forget. I don't think I forgot, but it just reminded me right away how easy it is to play through us, isn't it, Dan? It was just shocking.
Definitely.
I think this is Michael defending his Pedri take. Grace, obviously very Amrin. If we had three centre-backs, Welbeck wouldn't have scored the second goal. Grace, Welbeck scored against us in the 4-2. A banging free kick. So Welbeck would have found a way to score a goal. He's fantastic against us.
He always does.
Yeah, we're almost there, Dan. Sorry. Let's try this one. Fletcher
comments, though.
Yeah, exactly. Fletcher pushing the full back high with nobody to cover. Our rest defense is shocking. Listen, Kante, I was just reading the next one. Martinez has come back. He's not looked great, has he? He's looked off it a little bit, Martinez.
Yeah, I've been disappointed with him a little bit. He's had periods where he's been good, but then he's like switched off at key moments where it's created a goal. It's caused a goal then. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on there with Martinez, to be honest.
What's our scouting department doing? There should be a midfielder out there who can shore up our middle. Go get him for the life of me. Who is that guy? I'll tell you who that guy was. And listen, I was very with Eric Ten Hag out. Yeah. But do you know where it went wrong for Eric Ten Hag? I don't know about you, Dan, because we weren't speaking then. We weren't,
Yeah.
I didn't know you then. Eric Ten Hag badly wanted Frankie de Jong.
Yes.
Badly. Yeah. And
Badly.
instead, he got Casemiro. Had
Yeah.
he got Frankie de Jong, I think we'd be in a different place. I think he'd still be in his job. That might be a controversial take, but you watch de Jong, the way he picks the ball up off the defenders, pops it off back to the defenders, pops it forward, basically controls the game like an old school Paul Scholes. That was the midfielder that we needed, but obviously he's there playing for Barcelona now and just won Copa del Rey yesterday.
I was desperate to see it. I think if I was playing devil's advocate on it, though, is just how it would work in the Premier League with possibly less space and getting suffocated. But in any case, I watched him. I think it was the season when it was hotting up, where I was thinking, "Oh yeah, we might get him in," and he was unplayable. He was unbelievable in terms of his control and how he can just dictate play as well, as you were saying there. And he just you just can't get the ball off him,
mate.
In Spain, but again, like you've just said there, things could be completely different. And this is again another coach that wants a particular player for his specific system for it to tick.
Yeah.
And we didn't get him that. We got him Casemiro, who hasn't got that ability on the ball in the same way. He might be able to do a long pass now and again, but he hasn't got that press resistance is the word I was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, that is it. And none of our midfielders have that. Even Bruno, to an extent, if a top player presses him, he's in trouble.
No, he's not good. He's not got press resistance, Bruno.
He's in trouble. We don't have a player that can receive the ball in midfield anyway.
That's where Baleba was going to come in, though, wouldn't it?
He can't seem to get a game for Brighton. Is he injured at the moment? I don't know. I don't know
if he's at AFCON, is he?
You've segued us nicely into the next topic, and that's INEOS on trial, as we've called this. Yeah. I'm very much in the camp, before we get into this, and I'll kind of give you the floor a little bit to kind of elaborate on some of the stuff you've sent me that I'll pop up on the screen. I'm very much in the camp that they're in their last chance saloon, and look, they need to make sure the next manager they appoint, we'll talk about caretaker manager, interim, what's happening with that. It's looking like Michael Carrick. We'll talk about that a bit later on in the show. But I'm very much in the camp is they're in last chance saloon here. And I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that it's not easy to get things right at Manchester United. Yeah. Much like managers that come in and have all the right intentions to get the job right, I do think these directors of footballs, these new owners, all these positions, they also come in with the right intentions, I think. Yeah. Right? We're going to get into that next. But it's difficult. After a few months, a year, you start to realize that this job is just, I don't want to say cursed, but it's a massive, massive job. And I do think you need a little bit of luck with it. But I'm going to pop something on the screen because I'm not going to put words in your mouth here, Dan. But do you feel the current ownership, forget the Glazers, I'm talking about INEOS here, although they're part of it, they've given it to the Glazers.
You can't forget the Glazers.
Yeah. Do you feel the current ownership are almost working against us? Do you feel there's something in there? Maybe I've misinterpreted you. So before I pop this on the screen, you can say your bit. Do you think there's something in there where there's almost a conspiracy story here that they want us to fail? You tell me.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't quite say they want us to fail, but it's more about, for me, it's more about, I think, like with most people, and I was going to probably ask this question afterwards. I might leave it to the end, because what I'm going to ask you actually is whether you was INEOS or state ownership or not.
Right.
And
okay.
Look at that point of view. But anyway, in regards to Sir Jim coming in initially in INEOS, you're thinking, right, this English from Manchester, boyhood fan, he's got Manchester United at heart, and yeah, he's going to want the best for the club. Now, I didn't want the part ownership. I wanted a full takeover.
Full yeah, me too.
And I think I wouldn't say brainwash, because I think there's some good bits, and we'll get into that anyway. But I think it's more about, I don't think we've had the focus on them up until more recently. I think it's more been about, he's come in, he's sort of given us a new Carrington, and we've all thought, oh, look at that, look at that. Can I imagine what the stadium's going to look like next? It's that sort of thing. So you kind of taken the heat away from them and not really looked at them because you thought best in class. And this is where Barada comes into it. And you're thinking, there's two ways to think of this. It's either you do that, do you take somebody from a rival, especially City, or do you sort of glaze over that like a lot of us have done and thought, but this is Barada. He's worked at Barcelona.
Before you get on to Barada, let me pop this up on the screen.
Yeah.
Because these are facts. These are bits and bobs you sent me. Right.
Yeah.
This is the man that took over Manchester United, or part ownership.
Yeah.
But before he took over Manchester United, as you see on these articles here that you sent me, and I saw these articles at the time also, he wanted Chelsea. It seems like to me, Chelsea was his first option. It seems like to me, Chelsea's where his heart lay. Yeah. Let me pop you up because again, my beard's blocking my face.
We'll get stuck into Sir Jim then. So, as you've said there, we know all the things about Abramovich and why he were leaving. And obviously, there's quite a few consortiums and different business owners or billionaires that want to take over at Chelsea. As I was saying earlier, Sir Jim, boyhood Manchester United fan, we were led to believe this guy has got a pad in London. I know he's got pads in other countries like Monaco and stuff.
I'm sure he does.
France and stuff. But he's got a season ticket for Chelsea. So this guy, who's a Manchester United fan, I mean, I think everybody who's watching, they're not going to be doing that. They're not going to be a Manchester United fan but got a season ticket for Chelsea. Yeah. So this guy lives in London. He's saying he wanted to watch football and it was too far to travel from London to Manchester. Okay, so he got a season ticket to Chelsea. So anyway, the opportunity then arose for him to buy Chelsea. And this is what he was doing. And when you think about some of the stuff he was saying when he was buying Manchester United and all this sort of putting Manchester back into Manchester, all this sort of stuff, he's saying similar things here in regards to he's going to invest in the club. He's going to and basically he's going to be a hands-off approach and let the club flourish. It's not about money. It's not about a profit. And it's about, and he said something about Chelsea being a great club and he wants to put them at the pinnacle of the South, London. And what's he saying about Manchester now? Wembley of the North with a new stadium. So a lot of what he's saying, it's like, it's all lip service in a sense. And that's why I just wanted to highlight it a little bit because I think he's been getting away with things. Don't get me wrong, he's sort of getting attacked instead of the Glazers, and the Glazers are chilling in America, getting away with it. Don't get me wrong. But I think the media, and I think you've probably noticed it yourself, David, journalists and the media, up until more recently, they've swerved having a go at Sir Jim because I've seen it as he's the saviour. He's been held back because of the Glazers. So it's not his fault. He's British. He's a businessman. He's a Manchester lad. He's local. He's got all of what he's doing is for Manchester, and he doesn't want to profit. And he's been getting away with that. And I just think it's more about the incompetencies. So I don't know if you want me to go on to how his other teams are doing.
Yeah, go for it.
So.
Dan is educating us here. Yeah, he's building the conspiracy. Well, I don't even think it is a conspiracy.
I just think facts. Of course it is, and I think it's just one of those
so
where
you're going to go on to talking about how the other teams he owns have done, how they're doing. Go for it.
Yeah. So even like today, there's been one of the sort of what do you say, like the chair of the sporting fans groups. Sorry.
Got you. Yeah.
So it's like the 1958 for us and that sort of stuff. And even they're saying they feel sorry for us. They've been through all the pain that we're now going through. He promised us all this stuff. And some of the stuff he's been doing is where it sort of done a little bit of investment.
And this is for who? This is for who? For what
This
team?
is for Nice. Sorry, this is for Nice.
I thought so. Yeah.
So I'll come on to Lausanne, which is in Switzerland, and then they've got Nice.
Nice is in France. Yeah.
So they did a little bit of investment initially, and then soon as the team started doing well and the players started to get a bit of sort of foray around them, sold all the players off for profit. And I think this is another thing as well with him. This whole obsession with Chelsea, and you know what Chelsea do? They've brought in loads of young players, and then if they don't do so well or they don't fit into the squad, they're selling them off out there at a profit. And I think all those sort of young players that Vavel's looking at and stuff like that, that's what that model's about. And it's all copying off Chelsea. And I just think we're not Chelsea. We're
not
Manchester
Chelsea,
United.
mate. Yeah.
We invest in youth, we play youth, and we're behind our youth. So I just think, going back to Nice now, so just looking at their league positions or their league finishes since he took over. So 2019-2020 season, to finish 5th, you might say that's not too bad. But it is the French league, though. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
2020, 2021, 9th place. And then when he came in, he said he's going to challenge PSG. 2020, 2021, 9th position. 2021, 2022, 5th position. 2022, 2023, 9th position again. 2023, 2024, 5th position. And I think, and I'll go on to Lausanne now because I don't want to bore people, but I just want to talk about how he's been doing at his other clubs and the fact that he's been saying similar things to what he's been saying about us, how he's going to make us great again and all that sort of stuff. So Lausanne, that's a Swiss team, Swiss Super League. First time he took over, 2017, 2018 season, 10th place, relegated. 2019, 2020, first place, promoted back into the Super League. 2020, 2021, 6th place. 2021, 2022, 10th place, relegated again. Then promoted again the next season, and then relegated again. So that's pretty much what's going on there. So currently, Nice are 14th out of 18 teams, and Lausanne are 9th out of 12 teams. So both teams at the moment are looking at relegation.
So yeah, to summarise, viewers, the two projects that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has had, or currently has, forget the Man United one, but the two projects he currently has have gone backwards from what you've said. They've both technically failed. They've regressed. They've both technically failed. So to think that he can get this right at Manchester United, or he can even take over the footballing side of Manchester United like he has and make it successful, it seems like it's very not realistic. It's not realistic that it's going to happen.
Interestingly, though, just to go back to Nice, the one season where they did the best and they got into Champions League, I think it was Gaultier that was in charge at the time.
Yeah.
And he was probably the only one, reading into it, he was probably the only one that was more of a manager and not a coach. And he ran things in terms of what players came in, style of play, that sort of thing. That's the season they did the best. When PSG
when
then
someone took
Gaultier,
when
Gaultier then went to PSG the next season, they dipped again. But then they brought in a sporting director that was controlling things. So you could see the pattern there, what I'm trying to paint.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. His teams or his clubs only do well when they get a good manager that takes over the reins. The thing is with that, coming back to Man United, we're going to continue on the INEOS thing. Our fan base, have been saying for ages, we need a sporting director. We need to change the way we do things. We need to stop giving managers the reins, right? Yep. We've kind of done that now for the last two managers, more or less. I mean, Ten Hag, not so much, but more so Amorim. And it's like we've regressed. It's like we've gone backwards. And it's like fans are already saying, that's not the model for us. That's not the model for us. But in fairness, Dan Ashworth, who was supposed to be in charge of that department, not Wilcox, right? It was meant to be Dan Ashworth making those calls. They sacked him straight away as soon as he made a call. So can we say we've tried that? Can we say that Manchester United have tried the director of football way of doing things? Or should we go back to getting a Luis Enrique and saying, bruv, you're the man. You've won trebles with two clubs. You take over. We say that, though. But I think Enrique's got a director of football at PSG that's helped him massively. I don't know his name now. He hasn't.
Luis Campos. Yeah, he's a good director. But that's the difference, though, when you've got an elite sporting director. They know their place, they know their lane, they know their job, and he will know straight away, I've got a gem here in Enrique. Yeah. I'm not going to step on his toes. We're going to have a good working relationship. So there's space for both if you do it right.
Yeah, totally.
But there isn't when the lines get blurred.
Yeah, to summarise on Sir Jim, the other two clubs that he owns have regressed since he took over. right? He wanted to take over Chelsea ahead of Manchester United. That's the truth. And even when he
Yep.
talks about Manchester United, he wants to create the Wembley of Manchester, basically.
Yeah.
The Wembley
Wimble of
of
the
the
North.
North. The
Yeah.
Wembley of the North. So it's as if, I mean, I'm a London boy, but it sounds like he's a Londoner at heart. It sounds like he wanted to buy
Yeah.
Chelsea. So that's it for the viewers. We'll move on from Sir Jim Radcliffe, right? We'll move on from him to this fella, to Barada, and some
Yeah.
of these tweets. I don't think you can read the bottom one. I don't think you can read the bottom one. But this fella was a Man City. He was a man. He was
Yeah.
a Man City boy, right? And his
Yeah.
tweets, I get it. You're working for Man City. Of course, you want Man United to do bad. But, and listen, before I let you come in, Dan, you give people benefit of the doubt. I bloody hate Arsenal, right? I hate Arsenal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'll be honest, if tomorrow I got a job at Arsenal being the strength and conditioning coach, I'd give my absolute all
Of
because
course. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
passionate about my job, and that's just it. I'm passionate about my job and I have respect for myself. But the truth is, I'm a Man United fan at heart. And if Man United came knocking for me after that, of course I'd go straight away, right? Even if I had to up and leave everything. But you would
Yeah.
assume these people are professional. But you look at some of these tweets, mate, and you think, how is this guy calling the shots at Man United?
Yeah.
Does he
Yeah.
want what's best for Man United? Does he
This is
really
it.
want us to do well? What do you think,
Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah, and I think that's it's a bit of fun at the same time, but then there's a serious side to it as well. And this is why I've sent it and a bit of a talking point, because again, we're talking about putting our trust in these men, especially these three men in particular. So Sir Jim, Barada, and Wilcox. And it's not just about the fact that Barada's come from City, rivals, arch rivals. It's the fact that this is the sort of things he's saying, but you'd expect that as a City man. And some of the stuff is quite shocking. Obviously, he's deleted it now.
Yeah,
But
well,
it just shows the embarrassment, though, in terms of what we've brought into the club.
it might be
Nobody would
blurry.
talk.
It might
Yeah,
be blurry
nobody
on the
would.
screen there. Sorry to interrupt you,
No,
yeah. But that
I
one
think
under the
it's
Man United badge on the Daily Mail
yeah,
one is stuck at the airport because of snow delays, killing time
yeah,
watching MUFC. I think that's versus Chelsea on my iPad via Sky Go, and
yeah,
hoping for a Man United loss. And I think the one underneath that, he's basically saying, how did Manchester, how did they get into this mess, Manchester United? I'm
yeah,
not being funny, mate. I think you've put us into worse mess.
yeah, yeah. And that's
But
the
carry
thing.
on,
And
sorry.
he's commenting on that, isn't he? So yeah, it was more about just the tweets, the embarrassment that we've brought in a guy that's been saying this about the club, and it's just shows how far we've dropped in terms of our standards, really, because this wouldn't be happening under Fergie, for example. And I don't want to keep harking back to the past, but you wouldn't get a guy like this in normally. And I think just to look at his past roles, I think I'm not saying he's not qualified, but again, he's not been a chief executive before.
No, exactly.
He's
He's been
had good
promoted.
people around him. This is it. And I think
He's
when that
basically been
role
promoted.
came up at City, but he didn't get given it. So that's the interesting thing. He was
Do you know what?
chief operating officer.
Do you know what else? Sir Jim's gone down the route of City have been unbelievable. They've been unbelievably successful.
Yeah.
Surely just hire a bunch of bloody Man City people and we'll be okay.
But I think
what they seem
that's
to
what it is.
what they seem to forget is the manager of Man City is Pep Guardiola, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Like, that is it. That is really it. And
Yeah.
we'll only know how much the people that work at Man City are doing well when Pep Guardiola leaves. We'll only know how well they're performing when Pep Guardiola leaves. Now, don't get me wrong. Before Pep Guardiola, they did win the Premier
they were
League
winning
under
stuff.
Mancini.
Yeah.
Pellegrini, or what was it?
Pellegrini.
Pellegrini?
Yeah. Pellegrini, I think, as well.
I'm
Yeah.
not completely knocking that, but I'm talking about the dominance that they've had now. A big, I'd say, at least 70% of it has to be attributed to Pep Guardiola, probably the greatest manager since Sir Alex Ferguson. You know,
Yeah.
so it's going to be very hard to emulate that when you don't have that as part of the formula. Do you know what I mean? And then I'll pop this up on the screen, mate. Yeah, another fella. Another fella that was at Man City that you sent me. Look, Wilcox then worked his way up to the Royal Academy director during 11 years at Manchester City. He also played for Leeds. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, to be honest. right?
Rival after rival after rival. Yeah.
But again, you give them benefit of the doubt. You give them benefit of the doubt that they're professionals and they want what's best for Man United. And you know what? Michael put this up earlier. Only way INEOS gets into trouble is if fans don't fill out Old Trafford. P.S. If all these guys come from City, then there's no conspiracy. They don't want us back at the top in Manchester, least England. And we're basically not trying to say that out loud, but that's what we're basically starting to feel, to be honest. You know,
Yeah.
are our owners and the people in charge of this, are they self-sabotaging? You know, like
It feels that way, yeah.
it almost feels like they're self-sabotaging, Dan. And I'm guessing that's why you sent it to me. I really hope that's not the case. And I really hope that it's the case of I've said it earlier, a manager coming in, they come in with all the right intentions, and then they're a year into the job and they're scratching their head. I honestly feel Amorim was scratching his head at that point when he did that interview. It was premeditated, the post-match, I think. And I believe he was scratching his head at home with his missus. And there's a Portuguese saying that I know his wife would have said, he would have said, I'm struggling. And she would have said, manda essa merda pro caralho. Yeah, which basically means fuck that shit off. Let's get paid. Let's go home, right?
It sounds nice in Portuguese.
Yeah, I reckon he would have said, you know what, you're bang on. I'm falling out with the ownership. They don't want to back me in January. He might not want to have admitted it, but I'm actually running out of ideas. And I honestly think our ownership, these guys, I don't think they want what's the worst for us. I don't think that's the case. I think they're running out of ideas. I don't think they're qualified. You know what I mean? I'm going to put this up here. These are who they've signed since they've took over. Yeah. I mean, Ugarte, shocking signing, right?
Yeah.
The rest of them, Euro, I mean, there's a big question mark there, isn't there, Euro?
Yeah.
Again,
I think there's something in there, but yeah.
I think it's the confusion as well, the different types of systems.
Yeah. I'd still give him a chance, Euro.
Yeah, I think Alex touched on it on our last show that Euro's never played a free at the back as a centre back, and he's just done however 14 months of it or whatever he's done.
Yeah.
Completely confused him. And you know, like you said, he's not a channel defender, and he's been getting rinsed in the channel.
Exactly.
The graphic on the right of that, or it might be left for the viewers, I'm not sure, just shows how many people are still left in the squad from previous management. I mean, how is there still one player left from Eric Ten Hag? Sorry.
Crazy.
Louis van Gaal.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's
Shaw
Luke
being
Shaw.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Luke Shaw, yeah.
I mean, still 12 players from Eric Ten Hag, which I believe absolutely ruined the squad, to be honest.
We had a Fergie player not so long ago in Evans, so it just shows how bad things are.
Oh my God, what a great point. There would be a Fergie player here. That is unbelievable. Mate, it's bad decision after bad decision. And to finish this INEOS segment, of course, any new takeover, of course, any new investment, you think, okay, it's a fresh start. Let's move forward. But it's been a disaster after disaster after
But a
disaster.
question for you though, David. Do you
it.
think INEOS are going to get it right with the next appointment?
I mean, after what we've just gone through, after you going through the fact that Nice and the other Swiss team, I don't know what they are, I don't know their name, have regressed under INEOS, right? How can we think that they can bring Manchester United back to the top? I don't think they're going to get it right, no, mate. And that brings us to the next topic, you know. Carrick, Ollie, doing a flipping interview for an interim. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know?
Yeah.
You said this. Give it to fucking one of them. Give it to one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you've even
toss a coin.
You've even got Bruno tweeting yesterday, let's get rid of INEOS. I'm fully aware, viewers, that someone...
I wish that were true.
Someone hacked his Twitter. Or it could just be him that said it and then said a whole bunch of other stuff
just pretending
to
that
disguise
it was hacked.
And you know what? If it is him, Captain, thank you very much. You might be onto something, right? But on the Carrick, you asking me whether they're going to get it right. I mean, they can't even appoint an interim correctly. They're doing a whole you know, I said this on my match reaction. You know, usually if your mate gets you a job, like a job for the lads or a job from your mate, usually it's like, listen, go down there at 5 o'clock this evening. You'll meet the manager and you're sorted. He'll give you the rota. Yeah. But by the way, you still need to do an interview. You still need to give your CV. You still need to go. You'll be like, well, you haven't really got me a job, have you, mate?
Yeah, hooked me up, have you?
This is what this feels like. They're doing a job interview for an interim. Just hire one of them for fuck's sake.
You can have a chat, fair enough, but it's like a full blown recruitment process. I don't understand it. And like I was saying in my stream, just toss a coin, because it is quite much of a muchness. Obviously, we're going to come on to Carrick anyway, but it's like just put one of them in post, because the City game is on the weekend. I have heard, actually, I don't know if you've seen it, that they've got a couple of days off and they're not back in training until Wednesday. Because of the busy Christmas period and everything. I was like, Is this a joke? We're going to be playing 40 games this season, not 50, 60, and you're getting a couple of days off. But anyway, I think that's tied in with the fact that they've pissed about not putting either Carrick or Ollie at the wheel. So they're giving him a couple of days off because they don't want Fletcher taking another training session.
Yeah, because they don't want him to
That's just my theory.
Yeah, no, I think you might be right, because I mean, they don't want him to fuck it up anymore. That's it.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing, let alone Fletcher. I mean, Michael says, I'd love Roy Keane as interim. The thing is, Roy Keane, I don't know what you thought of his comments. We're kind of going off topic here, but it's fine. No, but it's not off topic. It's within the interim topic. I mean, I was laughing my head off, to be honest. But Roy Keane saying on Sky Sports that Alex Ferguson and David Gill are just hanging around like a bad smell. You know, he was basically saying, how can any manager do well when Alex Ferguson is hanging around like a bad smell in the stadium at every turn, every corner you turn? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I touched on that myself. I think I did it during my stream as well, and I don't think I can agree with that, purely because for other big teams, there's legends there a lot. So like, I ain't seen it for a while because I haven't watched the Bundesliga, but I remember watching, it must have been COVID times, and there was just a lineup of all the legends watching Bayern Munich, and they go there regularly, and some of them are part of the board anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to tell people like that they can't go to the games.
I mean, I think that's
same with Dalglish at Liverpool as well.
Of course,
Dalglish at Liverpool was hanging over Klopp. Come on.
Of course, I think that's Roy Keane. Still not got over.
You don't like Fergie, does he?
Yeah, but it was fucking funny. I ain't gonna lie, I was in stitches, to be honest. Roy Keane is absolutely box office.
One quick thing as well, going back to INEOS, is the fact that, and I can't forget what Amorim said in his press conference, where he talked about what Gary Neville said, and I just think again, Gary Neville's in the ear of people on that board. So we know that he's in the ear of Sir Jim because of the stadium project. So he's definitely confiding in Neville.
Yeah.
And maybe even Wilcox has gone into Amorim's office and said, "Oh, you see that comment that Neville made?" And it's like, why are they having so much influence? Don't get me wrong.
I mean, he's having so much influence, mate. Sorry, I've cut you off there. He's having so much influence because he basically flipping owns Manchester, doesn't he? I don't know how many hotels he owns there. Yeah. His podcast, The Overlap, which I could only dream to be 10% as big as, just blows. I mean, he's killing it on his podcast. And it's just put him, I mean, he's obviously a great entrepreneur, is Neville. He's done really well for himself. And listen,
I've seen something that he sold The Overlap, actually. Has he sold it now?
I've not heard that, no. Listen, I love listening to Neville, right? And I do like Gary Neville. But if you're going to listen to him in regards to footballing decisions, I mean, come on.
But you're weak-minded then if you're going to listen to Neville on that.
I mean,
maybe
we talk about
good
that.
Insights.
Remember that little interview podcast he had with Sir Jim? And Neville's there suggesting stuff. Yeah. Suggesting stuff like
how to make money and stuff. How
to make money and stuff. Instead of stopping school dinners, why don't you do like a big gala dinner with Bruno Fernandes and Maguire and the money
to help out past stars? Yeah,
to help out past stars. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe responds, "Well, if someone had suggested that, then potentially I would have done it." And you just scratch your head and think, oh my God, man. So that didn't paint him in the best of lights. Onto the subject and the next topic. Carrick or Ollie? It seems like it's Carrick, right? It seems like it's Carrick. Where are you at? I mean, for starters, if you had to pick between the two, right, who are you going with?
Yeah, I think, as we were saying in when we did this last time on Saturday, I did the initial nostalgia thing. Oh, Ollie's back at the wheel. We played some fantastic stuff, blah, blah, blah. But then I quickly remembered how his tenure finished, and it was awful. And I said before, let's not go back to an ex. don't want to be doing that. I know Carrick took charge for a really short period of time. I don't count that period. Ollie was in charge. He actually got the job. I didn't want Ollie, so I'm not going to say I'm happy. I'm not going to say I'm happy, but I'd choose Carrick, and I think he's better of a bad bunch almost. And well, I say a bad bunch. That's probably a bit harsh, but it's better of the two.
So here's my worry.
The options we've got.
Here's my worry with Michael Carrick, right? Like you say, I don't think it's a much of a muchness. I don't see.
Yeah, it's very close.
It's very close, and yes, I understand why Ollie would get the job as an interim because of the impact he had last time. I said this on the last show. If he can replicate that impact, blimey, we're in the Champions League, and then hire another manager. My worry with Michael Carrick is this. Let's say he does do a great job for us, gets us Champions League. It's almost maybe, this is going to sound terrible, it's almost maybe a blessing in disguise we're out of the cup, because I could have added to that. Imagine he wins the FA Cup. Yeah. But you get where I'm going with this, and hopefully the viewers do as well. Yeah. Carrick gets us into the Champions League. He gets us playing great football. We're hard to beat. He gets some amazing results for us. If that was Ollie doing that, he wouldn't get the job at the end of the season, because we've been there, done that with Ollie. Right? I think he would still be, hey, Ollie, thank you. You're still an interim. We're going to hire someone now. I'm very, very worried that Carrick does a good job for us, and that will mean he gets the job. Number one, he's going to be a yes man, I think, because he's part of the furniture. He's a Man United boy. Number two, he's not going to cost that much because he's new to the game, and it's a privilege to be Manchester United manager, according to it. Like an ex-Man United player anyway. We'd all run at the opportunity. Do you know what I mean? I'm very worried. I don't know what you think. I don't know what the viewers think. I will pass this to you now. That if Carrick does well, we're going to just put Carrick at the wheel now. And I'm not saying that might be a bad thing. God knows. God knows. But I'm really done with that, mate. I really want best in class. I want Luis Enrique. Dare I say it, and I know a lot of fans, I want a Diego Simeone. I want someone elite that has delivered elite things, right? Yeah. And I'm very worried, and I've said it 3-4 times, but to finish, I'm very worried Michael Carrick does a good job and then gets the job. What about you, mate?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I was worried for both. So I think the saving grace from what I've been reading this afternoon is Ollie was giving that impression that he wanted to come in, do everything for the club, all that sort of stuff that he's been saying, probably work for free, all that stuff he's been saying. But then he had visions, if he did well, that he wanted to take the job long term. And apparently this came out during his interview. And then with Carrick, he's been very much straight to the point, saying, I understand this is short term, it's just to the summer, and then I'm off. It was that sort of feeling he was giving. If that's true, because you never know, because these journalists are not in the interview with them, so of course, you don't know if it's true.
Chinese whispers.
This is it. And I think that what they were trying to say is that what Carrick was saying, where it was a bit easier for him to say that's going to be the end of it when it gets to the summer, whereas with Ollie it's a bit more emotional, there's a bit more attachment, it's a bit more beggy and a bit harder to get rid of him if he does well.
A bit more emotional, Dan. The emotion room. Yes.
And we don't want to be seeing that interview again when he's doing this and he starts crying. We don't want to see that again. Ollie, you're a legend, let's leave it there. And the way you left last time shouldn't have happened, but let's not do this again. So for me, I get what you're saying. I am scared. I would be scared that if either of them did well, they'd get some stupid ideas in their head saying, let's just give it them full time because it's cheaper, it's easier, the yes men. But like you're saying, David, I now want, well, it's not to say that I didn't want it before, but I want a top coach, an elite coach that comes in here, takes charge, has got a system in place that they can be flexible, but they do the right things for the club and they can actually stand up to this board and not take any shit. Now that's where it might fall down because these guys don't want that, I don't think.
Ryan's just commented this here. No manager's going to fix this without proper backing.
Yeah, that is true.
Telling Enrique to change tactics. We are a laughing stock. And I get your point, but here's the thing. he wouldn't tell Enrique to change
No, I don't
tactics.
think so. No,
And
I
I'll
don't
tell
think
you
so.
why he wouldn't tell Enrique to change tactics. Because I don't think Enrique has a 33% win rate. I don't think
No,
Enrique gets the results Amarin was getting. Guys, with all due respect, and this is not me backing Wilcox, yeah? But you've got to be fair here, right? There's two sides to every story, right? You've got to be fair here. Anyone underperforming in their job, and guys, anyone watching, Dan, Amarin was underperforming in his job.
Yeah.
Lord almighty, he was underperforming in his job. And still we were being patient. I said this a few shows ago. He charmed us into loving him. He charmed us into his vision. He charmed us into his system. But Ryan, with this comment, he was underperforming. So, of course, it's Wilcox's job to say, hey, mate, I really want us to do well. I really want you to stay in the job. But is there a way we can change this up a little bit? Amarim didn't like it, threw his toys out of the pram. The point is, I think he's less likely to do that with an Enrique. Because, number one, Enrique gets better results. He's not on 33% win rate. And number two, just his CV and portfolio is enough to say, hey,
Oh yeah, you wouldn't dare. You wouldn't dare.
amigo, tranquilo, just move back, yeah? Don't tell me nothing. Yeah, just move. And they also know, Ryan, that they're on Last Chance Saloon. If they sack another manager here, I mean, there's already protests happening, scheduled to happen. If they get the next one wrong, there'll be more than. I mean, I think that will be the end of the.
That'll be it. I think
That will be it. So they're going to be very careful how they treat the next manager, and this is why it cannot be a Michael Carrick, no matter how good he does. We need a top level guy like an Enrique or like Michael said here. I'm going to ignore the first part. We need to get Alonso because we're going to touch base on that next, yeah? But a Tuchel, an Enrique, someone of that ilk to just come in, be straight into a 50% win ratio and demand things. Do you know what I mean? But Carrick, mate, he seems like he's going to be the guy. And by the sounds of it, that's news to me. But you're saying to me is INEOS have kind of seen that Ollie's in a bit of a beg and a bit of an emotional vibe. Like I really want to take over again. I really want another chance.
From the sounds of it, yeah.
And they kind of don't want that. They want a professional outlook. Is that what you're saying?
I think there was concerned about who he's bringing in with him as well. His backroom staff. I think they're concerned about that as well. Yeah. From the sounds of it, whereas Carrick is happy to come in. Actually, it's just reminded me of something. Actually, so I'll bring that up now as well. But Ollie wants to bring his own people in, and there was concerns there. Carrick's happy to work with Darren Fletcher still, and probably Evans. The one thing that people are concerned about, though, is Jonathan Woodgate.
Jonathan Woodgate? What, as part of his coaching staff?
He was with him at Middlesbrough.
Right. Mate, I tell you, man.
I mean,
silence says it all.
Exactly. The only thing I start saying to myself when I saw Jonathan Woodgate, I thought, Jonathan Woodgate, really? And I just thought, if he's a good coach, he was an excellent defender, had a lot of injuries, but he was a really good defender. Could he help our defense out? And you start thinking those lines, don't you? But that doesn't equate to a good coach, or that doesn't equate to a good defensive coach, because you could say, Rio, you'd be a fantastic coach because you're a really good player. It doesn't equate to that. I know that. But you start to make excuses, and I need to stop doing this because we're talking about best in class standards, but I'm making excuses thinking, could I let Woodgate slip in? It's only 6 months, or less than 6 months. It's only a few months. But that's who he wants to bring in with him, apparently, is Woodgate.
I mean, listen to that, chat, viewers. I mean, Michael Carrick, Darren Fletcher, Johnny Evans, Jonathan Woodgate. You know, I mean, even Sean Dyche sounds more elite. Even Sean Dyche sounds more elite. And this is not me taking away for anything these players have done for Manchester United. But how there is even an interview process to achieve this. And that brings me on to the next part, right? And the final part of this show. I'm starting to feel like an interim is a mistake, right? And I said this before, but I'm really there now. Yeah. I think an interim is a mistake. I think we should go and get the manager we want now. Leave Fletcher in charge for as long as need to be, a month, 2 months, but go and get a manager now. We don't need any more confusion. We've been confused with 3-4-3 Amorim. We're going to be confused with Fletcher doing whatever he's doing. We don't need another confusion. It's time to go and get someone now, which brings me to this part of the show.
Can I really quickly? Oh, actually, go on to that, and I'll do it afterwards.
Go for it. Go for it. I'll put it back after. Go for what
all I was gonna say is really quickly. I know what you're saying about bringing in a coach now, but I've really been thinking about how that's going to work in regards to a World Cup year. And if they want one of those coaches that are going to be in the World Cup, so like a Tuchel, let's say, or an Ancelotti, for example, or a Nagelsmann, you can't get them till about July. And they're all at teams that might get quite far in the tournament as well. And on top of that, the players that they might want, they might be at the World Cup too. So that's a concern for me. And I think people are forgetting that. That's a massive concern to me, the preparation time, because you know what it's like when we're doing a pre-season tour when there's been a World Cup or
there's no time.
Championships. There's no time. And if you bring a new coach on that same year, they don't get a chance to instill their philosophy with the current squad, never mind, because I was thinking about that as well the other day in terms of which of our players won't be there for the new coach. So like Cunha will be at the World Cup. Lamons will be at the World Cup. Martinez will be at the World Cup. De Ligt will be at the World Cup probably. Yoro might be there. Mazraoui will be there. Ahmad will be there. Xerxes will be there. Bruno will be there if he's still with us. So even the current players won't get a chance to do much with the new coach. New players that we want to come in, we won't get them till sort of mid-July, late July, if at the earliest, because a lot of players want to go off and have a holiday, don't they, after the World Cup?
Yeah.
So I'm very, very I don't know how you feel about that, David, and sorry to just sort of take over there.
No.
I don't know how you feel, because I'm concerned by that.
Yeah, I hear your concern, and Michael says it here. An interim is always a mistake, but we can't get the top managers now. Yep. This is where I'm going to come on to this, Michael. I get you, but this is where I'm going to ask another question to you, Michael, to Dan, and to the rest of the viewers, right? We want to get now, except we want to get Iraola. He said last time we got a coach in the World Cup year, we ended up with LVG, right? I get the point. It's going to be very difficult to get the top manager now. And like I say, I'm just like completely in love with the idea of Luis Enrique, right? Is it realistic to pull him out of a PSG now? Probably not, right? Which now brings me on to what I added to the stage earlier, okay? Talk about standards, right? This fella, I think, has got like a 70-odd% win percentage as manager of Real Madrid. Mind you, the Spanish league, and sorry if there's any Spanish viewers, I mean, there's 2 to 3 teams in there max. Of course, you're going to win 70% of your games, right? Sorry to say. But, I mean, your head's blocking part of that. But loss, draw, win. And I think, I mean, if we count the last one, they just lost, right, to Barcelona, which is what's behind your head there. He's been sacked, right? Maresca's been sacked. Now, I'm starting to head to, of course, I want best in class, and maybe patience is a virtue. But I'm so done with this job for the boys, with this Michael Carrick, Jonathan Woodgate, all the things you listed out, with Ollie, as amazing as he is. I don't want to see any more crying interviews, right? I'm almost drifting towards get Alonso or get Maresca. Get one of them and just give them the job. Dan, I'm starting to lose patience, and you tell me, maybe you can rein me back in. Maybe the viewers can rein me back in. But do you see why I feel this way?
Of course. I think Maresca, I mean, I've toyed with that idea. I think, obviously, the concerns are, to a certain extent, what's gone wrong at Chelsea, because I'm not overly sure, other than obviously results here and there. I get that, but again, is another victim of speaking out.
He is,
so he hasn't really gone because of results per se. And I think the one thing that kind of swayed me to Maresca a little bit is because he won a couple of things at Chelsea, didn't he? And he got him playing decent here and there. There is arguments, and maybe Chelsea fans, and I think there was a Chelsea fan in here that could probably tell us better, is whether he is backed enough in terms of players. I know that sounds stupid because we get that from
sorry to interrupt. I've had that debate when I was on the football terrace for a long while. I had it with LB, I had it with Terry, and they're saying, signing Garnacho, signing Gittins, signing Delap, signing Joao Pedro is not good enough. And to be honest, they have a point. My argument back to it, and it wasn't so much because I'm fighting Chelsea's corner. It was also to give balance to the show. You know what I mean? But sometimes it doesn't come across that way. My balance to the show was, is there a world where all of these players have the potential to improve and turn into elite players? Oh my God, they absolutely snapped at me, right? But understandable. Sometimes these shows are all based on controversy as well. But the point is, you're right. Some of the players they've given him now are not players for now.
No, it's that project thing, which again, we talked about it earlier with Sir Jim copying off Chelsea, and I think we're trying to do the same. And don't get me wrong, they've bought a couple of talents. I think there's that. Is it a Brazilian winger? Is it Estevao or something like that? He looks really good.
Estevao, they've got Kiendo, that was from Sporting, who hasn't got there yet. He'll be there, I think, next season. Who's really good as well. I think Amorim actually wanted him, but Chelsea
he wanted Kenda, didn't he? Yeah.
Chelsea are a business, though, aren't they? They just sign players for sell-on value. If they do well, great. If they don't, then hopefully they've done well enough to sell on, and they're great at selling on.
Yeah, but for me, go on. Sorry.
The point is, like, you're saying you wouldn't go down the Enzo Maresca route. You wouldn't go down.
I'm not saying no. I think what it is that we're not going to hear much for another maybe a couple of months in terms of who they're thinking of. I'm guessing. So I think if you knew the pool they were shopping in or fishing in, then you could sort of decide a bit better. So for me, it's like, if they are waiting for, trying to think. Let's say they were waiting for Enrique. I think we both know, forget Maresca. If they're waiting for Tuchel, Nagelsmann, or Ancelotti,
you'll wait.
I think the only thing is, well, obviously, I said it before with Ancelotti, is his age. So it's whether he's discounted or not. But there's something that I can't shirk with Tuchel. I'm sort of curious about
I hear
that
you.
one.
Yeah.
And then
he's
Nagelsmann,
he's like a Klopp 2.0 Tuchel.
Yeah. I think there's something there. I think there's something there with Tuchel, and he is a winner, and he does do really well with players in terms of them buying into his system and stuff like that. So, and I think some of it's going to be how well he does with England. So if they crash out early, you might think, nah, let's leave that guy.
Just to be clear to the viewers, so I do come across consistent to the viewers and consistent to you, right?
Yeah.
Believe me, I'm still in the class of, we need best in class. We need to stop hiring the next big thing. I said that a few shows ago. And Maresca is the next big thing. Alonso is the next big thing. Xavi is the the next big thing. Christian or Alex says here, ultimately, at any point, you should go for the best coach available. Maresca, Alonso, Xavi are better than an ex-Middlesbrough manager, but it's all about vibes and DNA United.
Yeah.
Very valid point, and you're right. But the point is, so people don't think, Dave, like, what do you mean? You said you want best in class. Why are you going towards this now? Let me explain to you and the viewers. I'm really worried that Carrick does a good job and he gets the job. I'm so worried about that I would almost drop down my standards and say, you know what?
Almost cut that off.
Yeah, to almost cut that off. This is me, this YouTube game, especially, again, I know I mentioned the football terrorists a lot. It's very much, once you say something, Dan, it feels like you have to stick to that. You can't You can't evolve as time moves, Dan. It's weird.
But I've said to you before, don't feel bad about that, because you can change your mind. Things change.
I'm evolving because I'm worried. I'm still of the ilk, we need best in class. Yes.
We can't forget that.
If someone tells me now, at the end of this season, no matter how Carrick does, we're going to get the best in class. And Enrique, a Tuchel, some of the other names you said, right? Of course, no problem. I'm relaxed now, right?
Yeah.
But I'm very worried, and this is why I've dropped down my standards, that Michael Carrick and his flipping trio of Evans, Fletcher, and Woodgate, I don't know how they're going to do a good job, but by miracle they do a good job. They're going to get the job. And we're back to square one, mate.
Yeah, it just depends on how clear they are with them. And obviously, I can only hope that the reports are true, that there's a clear line and boundary where you're in just until May and then you're off. And then I'm sort of okay with that to a certain extent. But going back to Maresca, I think another way to answer it as well is where are we placing Maresca? So obviously, Enrique is elite. We can both agree that. Then we come a tier down. Are we saying Maresca's in Tuchel's tier, or is Maresca below Tuchel, for example? Because it feels like we are waiting for somebody that's at the World Cup potentially. So I'm just wondering.
To go through the tiers, that is, I mean, that's a whole another 10 minutes to be
No,
honest.
no,
But
but just a quick in terms of would you put him on the same level as Tuchel,
it's a great
Nagelsmann,
topic.
and
It's a great
Ancelotti?
question.
Yeah.
No, he's not. Nowhere near.
No.
Right.
So I
But
just think then, is it better to wait then if that's the case, is all I'm going to say.
Put Tuchel, Ancelotti, Enrique in a similar bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could really dissect it and put one above the other, but they're similar bracket. And then underneath that is the next big thing on the market, right? Or a steady Eddie, as Souness would say, right?
Yeah.
I feel like there's elite bracket at the top, and below that, imagine we've got a tree that goes like, you know, the paths that you take. Below that, we've got next big thing, steady Eddie, right?
Yeah.
In steady Eddie, you got people like Southgate, right? You got people like a Michael Carrick if he does well. I wouldn't even put him in next big thing. I'd put him in steady Eddie. Yes, he could be part of the next big thing also, but he hasn't shown enough for me to be part of that bracket. Yeah.
But that's the point from Michael there, that he might not even be an option anyway if he's waiting for City. Potentially.
Yeah, and fair to Michael, which he's been a great subscriber of mine. So shout out Michael. He's commented on all my videos since the start. He's been fantastic. Honestly, Michael, thank you so much. And this shows how in tune he is on what we're saying. Our City conspiracy, Enzo is another City boy, you know? So there's us talking about a City conspiracy, and then there's me saying, should we get Enzo Maresca? So thank you, Michael, for being such a great subscriber and always kind of keeping me in check.
That goes back to that picture I talked about when he stood at the side of Wilcox when they were both at City, and you're bringing another one in. But let's go on to Alonso then. What are we feeling about Alonso? So for me, I always saw him as playing a back three, though, and I'm like with Alex. I don't know if I can stomach another back three.
I don't think I can either. I don't think
ever
I can
again.
either.
Ever again.
Do you know what I am right now? I'm in desperation street, mate.
I know what you're saying. I think it'll be hard to ignore Alonso for what he did over in Germany.
Yeah. And listen, there's been a lot of good managers, Klopp, Tuchel, that have crossed over from that German league after doing well there. And smashed it in the Premier League. I mean, Tuchel smashed it in the Premier League is a big, I wouldn't say smashed it in the Premier League, but he won them a Champions League. And to be fair, when Tuchel was there, Chelsea looked like the next team to challenge, right? And then it all went up in, you know, he fell out, etc. But the point is, if Alonso can follow that and have that impact on the Premier League, that's why there is maybe a question there. Could he be the next German style? He's not a German style manager, but do you understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I just don't know if he'd come to Manchester United. I think he had Real Madrid and Liverpool on his radar.
He did.
And obviously he's quite a bit of a Liverpool man, isn't he? So I'm not sure. I think he'll probably take a bit of a break, take a bit of stock and see where he's going to go next. But I'm not sure if he'd come to Manchester United, to be honest with you. But at the same time, I can go through that 3-4-3 sort of setup again. I think he's a bit more flexible though than Amorim, and I think he's had to be flexible at Real Madrid. And they have been interfering with Alonso at Real Madrid. I've been hearing where they've been sort of encouraging him. That's probably the more polite way of saying it, to change things a little bit. Yeah. What I didn't like though, because I don't know if it was, sometimes things are made up online. I only saw it really quickly before we was going live, but they lost in the Super Cup.
I watched it. Yeah,
it was only 3. I say it's only 3-2.
It was a great game.
It's a massive thing out there, isn't it? Between Real Madrid and Barcelona, whichever one loses, it's a massive thing, and there's got so much rivalry. But then he was trying to get the team to do a guard of honor, but then Mbappe apparently was ushering all the players away from doing the guard of honor.
Wow.
And then Alonso just followed, and I just thought, I'm watching this and thinking, you're quite weak, aren't you there? And obviously, I know Mbappe is a big name and everything, but I just thought that concerned me. Concerned me. It massively concerned me.
I think we've also come from the ilk, unfortunately, growing up, seeing Sir Alex Ferguson having just, you know, he just had to look at somebody. He just had to look at a player and they knew what time it was. Yeah. I think those days are gone a little bit.
Probably.
The only person in and around that, people in and around that, is Pep Guardiola. I mean, he'll literally go and shout in a player's face, won't he? And yeah,
Mm.
Jurgen Klopp. I mean, I know he's a rival manager and he's done so well for them and he's brought them back to where they are now. I mean, I'm of the thought process that, you know, Slot's Premier League is Klopp's Premier League, big time, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Jurgen Klopp would absolutely, if that was Jurgen Klopp, he wouldn't care if it was Mbappe. He'd scream his breath all over his
Oh
flipping
yeah.
nostrils. Like it would, you know, but there's not many managers like that. But to finish the show, there's one name here that, if I'm honest, we were linked with before Amorim or in and around that time.
Mm.
So this will be the last finish of the show. He
Yeah.
plays a 4-3-3. We've touched base on him before, but briefly. I'm talking about Xavi, Barcelona Xavi.
Yeah.
He's been out of work since leaving Barcelona. Is that an option? You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, played some decent football at Barcelona and all that sort of stuff.
I think everyone does, though, don't they?
Yeah.
Jesus
Legend,
Christ.
I get it all, but I think what put me off more recently was the fact that they were saying he couldn't handle the pressure at Barcelona.
I said that a while
and
back as well. Yeah,
the media and stuff like that, and I
Mm.
think that's a massive red flag for me
Yeah.
because of all
You
the
would put him in the
scrutiny.
Amory milk, innit? Amory
Yeah.
milk, same sort
Yeah.
of thing.
And I just think if he's gonna, I can imagine him now threatening to quit like Amorim kept doing. I could just see it where he's just threatening to quit. And I think he won't know what it's like until he arrives. And I just think it wouldn't work for me. So it would be a no for me. What are you thinking about that? Would you
I just
contemplate it?
Again, I think today's news and thinking about the whole thing, and I've said this earlier, and we'll finish there. Right, we're over an hour 20 minutes. As we're getting further and further, getting longer and longer. Dan, I'm really worried that Michael Carrick gets the job with his Musketeers, and he does a good job. Of course, I want him to do a good job for Manchester United, of course, and I'd wish him nothing but the best. And if he gives me moments, I'm going to be happy. But just from history. Just a bit of PTSD here. Ollie did a fantastic job when he took over as interim. Got the job, and we saw how that ended. I'm just done with going round that circle. I think if you're INEOS, whether there's a conspiracy theory or not, you need to get this next one right. And I'm really worried that they don't know what they're doing. And by the sounds of it, and everything we've gone through in this show, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed it, they haven't proved that they know what they're doing with the other clubs that they own, with what they've done at Manchester United so far. But they need to get maybe their final decision that they're ever going to make as a Manchester United, right? It needs to be an elite manager. And I'm really worried that Carrick does well and they give him the role. And if that's the case, I'd rather give it to one of these other guys and see how they get on than give it to Carrick. But it looks like Michael Carrick's getting it. Dan, thank you once again, mate. We've got a comment here. We'll finish on here. Why is nobody talking about Fabregas? He's in that ilk of Maresca's, Xavi's, Alonso's. I'm in desperate street, and I'm not going to say no to that either. But listen, I just want the best now. I want the best now.
Yeah, I want the best now. It's
viewers.
It's a good point, but I want the best.
What if Carrick does well, viewers?
And that is the worry. That is the worry.
Yeah.
So, like you say, I think that's probably why you're, because don't forget where you was at. You was Enrique, best in class, elite. Let's stick with that. But I get what you're saying, because I'm also worried with the Carrick situation, and I think it's one of those where in your head you're thinking now, I'd rather Maresca come in than Carrick get the job full time, and I get that, and I'm with you on that.
And I know that sounds terrible coming from me.
No, but I get. But you can't trust this board. That's the problem. You can't trust this board. You don't know what they're going to do. They've been making crazy decisions up to now for me. So you'd never know what this board is capable of. So I get what you're saying. Get Maresca in. Let's get a bit of protection, because you've got someone.
And one final point. I know I keep saying final point, but something that everyone keeps saying, and they're half right. They don't want to spend money in January. So they're prolonging this situation as much as they can. They're probably also, for all we know, maybe Ollie said, listen, I want the job, but you've got to back me a little bit in January with some players here, maybe one or two. And maybe they were like, nah, mate, we don't want to do that. And Carrick said, yeah, whatever you want. I just want the opportunity. So This is all a
Yeah.
big worry, guys.
Well,
It seems like
apparently they will buy a player if the right player comes available.
Jesus.
But we've
I've been
heard this
hearing that.
before. We've heard
I've
this
been hearing
before.
that for flipping years, mate.
To
If
be
the
honest,
right player comes
don't want-
along.
we can go into this on the next show, but all I'm going to say is I don't know if it is a good idea to buy players for an interim, if I'm honest. But
I get you.
We can
You're right,
discuss
yeah.
that in more
But
detail another time.
that terminology, if the right player comes along, they don't just fall on your fucking lap, you wallies. Yeah? You're meant
That's
to
the
be
thing. We need to
doing
get our
your
scouting
job.
better.
We need to be doing your job and going and finding these players. They don't just come along. For fuck's sake, just that terminology alone shows they ain't got a fucking Scooby-Doo what's going on. And guys, we will end it there. And yes, thank you, Michael. Go and sub to Dan so he can keep coming on my show. He can keep coming on my show and seeing the value of talking rubbish with me, right? Guys, it's been emotional in the emotion room. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for watching us once again. Please head over again and subscribe to Dan Talks United. It's all love, guys. Catch you on the next one.
See you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.